Okay. Let's get down to the nitty gritty, my friends. We have some work to do, and we're going to be doing it in the markets, okay? So let me get some stuff set up here, and we will get down to it. All right, that only took me God knows how long. But anyway, let's get to it. We got markets. So we're going to talk about some markets, and then we're going to get into the demand. So markets are the interaction between buyers and sellers. Okay? A market may be a local market, such as a farmer's market, a local store. It can be national, such as a Costco, a BJ's, a Walmart, or it can be international. I should have kept Costco for international. All right, but you can have any market can be any one of those three. The price is discovered between the interactions of the buyers and sellers. Now, there's a misconception that the buyers set or the sellers set the price. It's not true. It's set by the interactions of both. Okay, the seller knows what the buyer is willing to pay for the good, and that's where they set the price. All right, but now we're going to look at this through a supply and demand model. Okay, so let's go with this question. Why have surgical masks become so inexpensive? I want you to think about that for a second. Last year we were paying a lot of money for them. Now they're not as expensive as they were. So most of you will probably say, because there's been a decrease in demand, it's not required to be worn anymore in school. We wear them because of our own safety, but we're not required to wear them. Okay, so the demand for the surgical masks have gone down, right? It's a decrease in demand. Some of you may have said supply was increased because the companies were trying to get so many out there that they increased the supply of them, okay? Either one of those I'll take. The focus, though, for today will be on demand. What I do want you to think about here for a second is, does the price change your desire for the good? So if the good becomes more expensive, less expensive, does that change not whether you're going to buy the good, but your desire for the good? So if I'm someone who likes to wear a mask, am I going to let the price of the mask change how I feel about it? It might change whether I'm wearing it or not, but the question is, does it change my desire for the mask? So what I want you to do is keep the price constant. We're going to set the price, and then we're not going to change it. And the question then becomes, what would motivate you to buy more of the good at the same price? So I'm willing to buy 3 slices of pizza at $3. What would get me to buy more than 3 slices of pizza at $3, right? So let's look at that. Okay, I think I got the same slide. Yeah, I do. All right, let's look at the law of demand. Law of demand says, all other things equal, as price falls, the quantity demanded rises. I want you to look here, my friends. Quantity demanded, not demand, quantity demanded. As the price falls, the quantity demanded rises, and as the price rises, again, quantity demanded falls. Not the demand falling, the quantity demanded falling. If you want to make this a little easier, maybe get rid of that word demanded and say as price falls, the quantity rises. And as price rises, the quantity falls. You notice there's an inverse relationship there. Why is that, you ask? Well, let me answer that. Because of the law of diminishing marginal utility. As prices change, the satisfaction I would get from one good may be less, and I would switch over to the other. I will get into this in more detail in class. And then there's an income effect and a substitution effect. I feel like these are 2 effects that we should talk about in class, so somebody remind me. Let's now so these are the reasons why we have what's called a downward sloping demand curve. There's an inverse relationship. Right now, let's look at this. Let's look at demand, and first thing I want you to say, get through your head is, the price doesn't affect demand. Don't go back and talk about the law of demand. That was quantity demanded. We are talking about demand. Make a note. Quantity demanded and demand are not the same thing. Okay? Quantity demanded really should just be called quantity. So here it is. Demand, price does not affect demand. What does affect demand, Mr. Mooney, then, you ask? That is a great question. I will get to that. Hashtag spice. Right? Hashtag spice is what's going to cause the demand for a good to change. So let's get to the hashtag. Somebody remembers, you can ask me in class where hashtag spice came from. Interesting story. Got nothing to do with pizza. All right, so we got spice. Hashtag stands for the number of buyers. If there are more buyers for a product, the demand will increase. If there are less buyers for a product, the demand will decrease. Okay, so because the mandate for masks are gone, right? There's going to be a decrease in the demand of buyers. All right, and that decrease in demand for buyers will decrease. Less buyers will cause a decrease in demand. So the first thing we look at is the number of buyers. The next thing is S. S stands for the price of a substitution good. Okay, we're going to get into some fights over this. If the price of the substitute good increases, the demand for the other good will increase. I'm confused, Mr. Mooney. What do you mean by this? Let me give you an example. If coffee and tea are substitutes, if the price of coffee increases, then I will then demand tea instead of drinking coffee. If the price of mayonnaise goes up, I will demand mustard instead. Right? These are substitutes for each other. Now, if the price of the substitute good decreases, so if coffee becomes cheaper, then the demand for tea will go down because people will drink coffee. Okay, now be careful here. I know you're going to go back to the side and say, you said price does not affect demand. This is the price of a substitute good, not the price of the good. It's the price of a substitute good. All right. Is that it? No, please, there's more. Stay tuned. Let's go. Let's get to it. What about the letter P? P stands for preference or taste for a good. If people's taste or preference for a good increases, the demand for that good will increase. Give you an example. I love fresh raviolis. If the price of, so let's say I used to eat canned raviolis. So as my taste matured, I then began to eat other goods, right? So the demand, my taste and preferences changed. So for my demand for the good will change. All right. What's another thing we could use? We'll come up with one as we talk, or as I talk. You're just sitting listening. All right. If people's taste or preference for good decreases, like mine did for the canned raviolis, then the demand for the good will decrease. I will tell you this: when I was younger, I did not eat fresh tuna. I now enjoy fresh tuna, so my taste or preference for the good has increased, which means the demand for the good will increase. Right? Growing up, every corner had a hot dog truck. Now people like halal, so there's been an increase in demand for that good because we would prefer halal to hot dogs. I say we, I don't mean we, I mean other people, not me. But then we don't want to make generalizations, do we? All right, we've gotten to the next letter. The next letter, I, stands for the price of income. Income, I don't know where that came from. We'll have to fix that. As you have more money, as people's income goes up, the demand for goods will increase. Okay, this is one of the problems we have right now in the economy, is people have too much money and they're demanding more goods and they're causing prices to go up. So if my income goes up, then my demand for a good will increase. I always tell the story how I collect G.I. Joe dolls, and you can ask about that in class. Okay, if a person's income falls, then they demand less of a good. Therefore, demand will decrease. All along here, folks, you've noticed the price of the good doesn't change. It may be the price of a substitute, but not the price of the good. Very nice. Let's get to the next letter. The next letter is the letter C. Okay? C stands for price of a complementary good. Complementary good would be coffee and sugar, coffee and half, French fries and ketchup. If anyone says hot dogs and ketchup, I'm throwing you out of the room. All right, C stands for the price of a complementary good. If the price of ketchup increases, then the demand for French fries will go down. right? Because if I don't have one, I don't have the other. Peanut butter and jelly. That's the best one. If the price of peanut butter goes up, the demand for jelly goes down. The demand for jelly, it was not the price of jelly that caused the demand for jelly to go down. It was the price of a complementary good. Okay? If the price of a complementary good decreases, then the demand of the other good will increase. So just for a second here, just realize here. Complementary goods go in the opposite direction. Substitutes go in the same direction. Make a little note. Get that Notability opened. Get your little Apple pen out. And why don't you write that down? Complementary goods go in the opposite direction. Substitutes go in the same direction. All right, getting excited. I know you are, because we are up to the last one. We are up to the letter E. The letter E is for expectations. Right? Expectations of future prices, not the current price, the future price. So if I expect gas prices to rise next week, I am going to get gas now. My demand for gas was increased because of what I expected the price to be in the future. Okay? I don't understand, Mr. Lee. Can you repeat that? No, here it is here. Right here. If we expect the price of gas to be higher in the future, the demand for gas will be higher today. That's all. Same thing. I think gas prices are going down. My demand for gas is not happening right now. Okay? All right. Now, I know this video is getting a little long, but I got a couple more slides I want to go through. Okay. I did this. Why does this keep happening to me? What's wrong with me? George, Jerry, what happens to the price and quantity of toilet paper? Oh, we have a blast from the past. The toilet paper crisis. What happens to the price and quantity of toilet paper when demand increases? So now we didn't ask, so we said price doesn't affect demand, but maybe that little notability you want to write, demand does affect price. Okay, so let's do this. We have a little scenario where we have a couple of rolls of toilet paper. Oh, we got a lot of people though. Okay, so we have a lot of demand for that toilet paper. So we're going to graph that. And the first thing we do is we put an X and Y axis, looks just like this, and we label it. This is the market for toilet paper. What you need to know, and you want to start to remember, this is the first step, whatever the title is up here, toilet paper, will be the quantity down here. What does that mean, Mr. Mooney? Well, patience, young lady. Quantity of toilet paper is the x-axis. Price is the y-axis. We draw our supply curve as upward sloping. Make believe you don't see that because we haven't gotten there yet. Right? Here's what we got. We got the demand curve, downward sloping. Right? There's an inverse relationship. Price goes up, quantity goes down. That's what this shows. Let's get a price of $2 a roll, and we have 12 rolls of toilet paper. Well, people are stocking up because of the pandemic, and we're going to have an increase in the demand for toilet paper. That is shown by a rightward shift. So you want to make a little note to yourself. Anytime there's an increase in the demand for a good, it is shown by a rightward shift of the demand curve, which we have here, which now means there's a price is higher and the quantity is higher. Right? So let's write this down. Price and quantity both increase. Supply has not changed. We moved along the supply curve, right? We were here, and we moved along to here, right? So supply stayed the same. There was increase in demand, which caused this to go up and this to go up, 2 to 4, right? Okay, now we're going to do the opposite. Now we hit this today, right? And we got this guy sitting at home with all this toilet paper, or this, excuse me, this manager has all this toilet paper, but nothing's really happening, right? There's been a decrease in demand for toilet paper because we've overstocked. So here's what happens. We get the same graph, same scenario, toilet paper, same quantity of toilet paper, same price on the Y. Always, it's always quantity on the X and price on the Y whenever we're doing supply and demand. I don't know what that curve is. Make believe it's not there. Okay, let's go back to our price and quantity. We have $2 and we have 12 units, but now nobody wants them. So we have a leftward shifted demand curve, right? We shifted to the left and we moved along the supply curve. Price did what? Price has now fallen to $1.50 and quantity has gone down to 8. what we have here is price and quantity both decreased. Note that the supply has not changed. We moved along the supply curve. All right, that's the video. I know, again, I apologize. It was a little longer than it should be. All right, but here's what I want you to do. I want you to make a little note to yourself to say price and quantity go in the same direction as demand. Price and quantity go in the same direction as demand. Okay? Also note to yourselves, price does not affect demand. Demand affects price. Okay? I think we have it there. All right. I hope you're having a lovely evening. Have a good night.